Coming up next, SoCom.
SoCom, U.S. Navy SEALs Combined Assault. The fight continues, so freedom can. Rated T for Teen.
Leola, did it remind you of William Tell? I could shoot an apple off that guy's head and not get the innocent bystander.
Well, obviously it's trying to position you to identify with the shooter.
Mm-hmm.
But all video games, war-like video games, do that. And so in that sense, this is just like any other war video game. And that's one of the things that's really disturbing to me about it, is that it heroizes war. I'm anti-video game, as you may.
I've noticed that. And Tim's pro, so that's why I put
It's the war video games. I think it really does make people it's got a desensitizing.
Well, there's short-term studies and long-term studies.
A desensitizing effect. So So that's what I think it's doing. I mean, that's a very simple thing, and I think it's bad.
Not to change too much, but Kathleen, does anything foreshadow death like banjo music?
Oh, yeah. The calypso vibe, and I like the juxtaposition with the piñata, hitting the piñata and having it explode.
Yep.
Yeah.
I mean, there's nothing like, I think the tagline is the fight goes on so the freedom can continue.
Fight continues so freedom can.
Yeah, so I thought it was the fight continues so spring break can. I mean, that was sort of like, what is the idea? We fight so you guys can party later. I mean, the juxtaposition was just really heavy-handed, and look what we're protecting you, and I mean, the idea would be, and you can go on and you can have fun and your children will be safe, and I just thought it was really over the top and heavy-handed.
I was wondering what the contraband was. Was it just like a generic beer that had labels of real beer?
Well, now, Leola, you're going to make me defend the whole genre instead of talking about this particular game.
Yeah, go for it.
In my view, see, video games are the new demon as far as media goes. And you can go back. It's been films. It's been comic books. It's been TV. There's always been something that they blame violent. Music, rock and roll music.
Literacy.
This goes so back. They go through it with every new media. And for me, a lot of video games are warlike, but so are a lot of movies, so are a lot of books. They had war comic books, and it just, to me, it's a different medium. The medium is not the message. I hate that idea of McLuhan's.
But the thing that really is bothersome about that is that the slogan, play in your world, live in ours. Erases,
backwards.
Live in your world.
Live in your world, play in ours. Right. It plays fast and loose with what they're really doing there, because they want you, of course, because they want you to position yourself as if you were a killer, as if you were the warrior.
But
it's a fantasy.
People know the difference between fantasy. I play tons of these games,
and I know. And I think it's. I mean, for me, to compare it to other media is really not necessarily fair, because this is an interactive media. Because you're participating. You're not just a receiver here. You are having it. You're having an experience. So I am 100% with you about the images, about the studies on video games. At the same time, I think this is a cool commercial. I think it's really well made. I just think this 25-second movie just sucks me in, and I'm sorry, I don't want to play the game. I just looking at the piece itself. I enjoy watching it.
Why did the partygoers not hear the bullets? I mean, I've cleaned up after some really back-and-alien parties,
because
but
it's a stealth operation. That's what makes it so cool. That's why I want to play
I'm buying into the fiction. They had silencers because the kid was hitting that piñata so hard. It was so loud.
And
you just noticed a stray bullet hit the piñata. That made me kind of nervous.
The research on the video games is that it really interacts with the underlying tendencies of the video game player, and it will, though, unfortunately, interact with also the way that the game is shot. That first-person shooter aspect is really crucial. So kids and adults who are already prone to violence, it's only those who are already prone. There are very strong studies on this. But if you have a little bit of a tendency, which clearly not everyone does. You might.
No, but they say. I mean, they have said that about so many different media that this is just what's going to push people who are already sick over the edge. And I mean, changing perspective. Have you played a lot of third-person shooters? Because you don't, or first person.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh.
Because you really don't believe that you're part of it. It's just a fantasy like playing Dungeons and Dragons.
For most people, you're right. But I think
keeps
I think she's pointing to something
it
different.
also keeps you from thinking about what it would really be like to be a first-person shooter.
Actually, that's not true. There are some games, for instance, Call of Duty Medal of Honor, where you're set up with other soldiers in your platoon, and you actually mourn. When
I would
one
like
of your
to see
soldiers
studies
dies,
on that relative to studies on a video game like this and see what
and
the
you
relative
spend a lot of
differences
time
are.
protecting
I think
your
that's really
platoon
interesting,
and
actually.
protecting
Can
your
I just
guys.
raise one other
quick.
issue about this, which is that the Heart of Darkness aspect of the narrative here, I don't think we can ignore. I mean, this is, in the jungle and with the primitives, protecting them as saviors, and the primitives are off being jolly and having fun, and,
We don't see games marketed as first-person victim.
Actually, there are some.
No, wrong guys on the panel to say that. Yeah.
Somewhere there's a couple people who are thinking, we're going to clean up tonight after that really back in alien party. And they're going to find dead bodies. It's like, wow!
Spring break on wild.
There's a
really
party.
wild.
Okay, time for exit question. Name something else people don't notice. Jim.
Gitmo.
Leola.
how many people are dying in Iraq?
Kathleen.
There's civil liberties being taken away?
Tim.
My minuscule bald spot.
No, you're wrong about that.
Am I?
Yes.
Oops, we'll talk to her.
White-collar crime.